My biggest challenge is not reaching people early enough. I mean, I have a client who spent $300,000 on their divorce.
Wow.
It's crazy how much you can spend and how much time and the physical toll and emotional toll that it takes on people.
You're listening to the Therapist to Millions podcast, where we get under the skin and into the brains of the world's leading therapists with Dr. Susan Spicer and myself, Damien Mark Smith, as we delve into the world of all kinds of effective therapies with fascinating and challenging cases, plus marketing tips and what's really working in mental health right now. Hello and welcome to the Therapist to Millions podcast with Dr. Susan Spicer and myself, Damien Mark Smith. And today we are getting under the skin and into the brain of Jill Barnett Kaufman, who is a divorce and co-parenting expert at Divorce Coach Jill and the Princeton Counselling and Parenting Center. Now, Jill helps people go through divorce achieve peace by providing support through her transformational Thriving Through Divorce group coaching program and through her book. We love her book. I'm Getting Divorced. Now What? A guide to navigate your divorce with clarity so that you come out stronger. So, Jill, welcome to the Therapist to Millions podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
Absolute pleasure. Now, listen, what type of therapy do you do?
So my therapy practice is all divorce and marriage counseling and co-parenting, which seems a little strange, I know, but it goes together. But my coaching practice is different because counseling I can only do in one state that I'm licensed in, New Jersey, and my coaching I do all over the world.
So what kinds of specific life experiences have shaped your work as a therapist and as a coach?
A lot of life experience. So I was actually a parent educator when I had my kids early, and I taught parenting classes. And then I went through my own divorce in 2012, and it was just horrible. You know, most divorces are not fun. And I learned my way through it, and I ended up doing the right thing and getting through it without going to court, but it was painful. And so I actually made it my mission after that to help people not go through what I went through. And I got trained as a divorce mediator, and I did some divorce mediation, but I really, truly love working with people who are just starting out their divorce and, you know, completely overwhelmed like I was, and I can give them step by step what to do. I wish I had what I had. Plus the group I developed because I felt so lonely when I was going through it. I had lots of married friends, but they did not understand how I was feeling. And so the group gives that support from other people going through divorce.
I totally agree. If there's any one time in your life you need support and you need others to understand what you're going through, I think it's when you're going through a divorce. So that is a really, really important service that you're providing, for sure.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
Now, using hypotheticals and no identifying factors, very important. What's an example of a really great success story in your therapy?
So I have so many, but this one, it just sticks to me because when I started working with her, she couldn't even say the word divorce. She had been the sole breadwinner in the family, raised her kids. Like her ex really didn't participate in much of anything. And her self-esteem was just totally beaten down. And so she couldn't even say divorce. She knew how unhappy she was, and she knew that she couldn't stay in that situation. It was affecting her and her children. And by the end of our work together, you know, we built up her self-esteem. She just emailed me. I haven't worked with her in 6 months, but she just emailed me that she took a new job, and she had never been able to take a new job because she just had to keep the job to pay for everything with her 3 children. And she went on this retreat with women who she just connected with. And she said she was more present than she had ever been in her life. And, you know, I remember as we were going through, just buying new pillows was like a big deal for her, you know, and now she's like taking a new job and, you know, doing things where she's doing things for herself, and it's just completely changed her life. So
that's amazing. What a big shift for her. Yes, you did some great work with her. Wow. Awesome. So what has been your biggest challenge or failure, and what did you learn from it?
So my biggest challenge is not reaching people early enough. Because I get people who have spent $60,000 on attorneys and have gotten nowhere.
Right.
I reach people who are just completely, I just got a new client yesterday who's completely overwhelmed, devastated, starting to having physical problems because she's been doing this for 2 years and is still not, and they think they're going to go to trial. So she's like, I wish I met you earlier. And that's the challenge, is getting the message out to get to people before they make these mistakes. And it can cost, I mean, I have a client who spent $300,000 on their divorce.
Wow.
It's crazy how
Wow.
much you can spend and how much time and the physical toll and emotional toll that it takes on people.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Absolutely.
We're going to ask you a marketing question in a minute, which I think is going to be really interesting, but just if it's different from the previous two. And we love this question because sometimes this isn't, necessarily a success or a failure, but what's been your most interesting or fascinating case and why?
So I started working with this male guy who was in the middle of mediating his divorce. And he was about to agree to only see, he had 3 children, but the one was a young child, his youngest child, only 4 nights a month. And when I first met with him, I said, why would you do that? And he said, well, the mediator, said that the child who was like young should be with the mother. That's what would be better for the child. And this man is a very good father, very involved. And I said, well, why would they say that? And I guess there was a bias in the mediator. So he was about to sign away, most of the custody of one of his 3 children.
Wow.
And, he has been fighting. He's probably going to end up with 50%, but he has been fighting for, custody. And it's fascinating to me that somebody who's a very successful person in their job, would not be able to fight for things for themselves that they know deep down is right. So to me, that was fascinating.
That is
absolutely right. And what's been your most successful marketing technique to grow your practice?
So I think it's all works together, right? But the thing that I started a few years ago was I do Facebook ads to a free guide. And I think people who are going through divorce are so scared of spending money that they need some free, resources. And so I have a Facebook group. When they get the guide, they join my Facebook group that has over 4,000 people in it. And that Facebook group has been an amazing tool for me. I go live every week in there for free. And people who are just in the free group are getting a lot out of it, just hearing other people's stories and commenting and posting. So I think, developing that know, like, and trust factor in that free group has been my success, I think.
Absolutely. Know, like, and trust. That's a huge key. And it's the connection that they're getting in that group. They feel like they belong and they're learning from each other and they're building relationships and they're being supported.
Yeah. Exactly.
Would you like to grow your practice but don't know where to start? We're now giving away Therapists to Millions for free. Correct. You can learn how to write a best-selling book, how to get yourself a TEDx talk, how to use PLR products, how to set up a podcast, and lots more, and it's all completely free. Head over to therapisttomillions.com and sign up now. Now, as you know, we like to promote books as a good source of marketing, and you've written one already. That's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about that. And also, are you writing another one? And if so, what's it going to be called?
I wrote a chapter in another one that's going to be coming out, but I don't know. I haven't thought about writing another one because this one was like my baby, like I was working with people and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I just said, I need to put this in something so that they can just get this. And I don't have to work with them for them to get a lot of this information. And, obviously it's better to work with me. But at least they can get some of the information that I'm doing with my clients. And so, you know, there's a story that you go through when you go through divorce. And at first you're just so overwhelmed, and it's the emotional piece of it that you have to find a way to process all that. And so I started like, and it's kind of like a journal, an ebook kind of workbook, where you process your emotions, and you kind of understand what's going on, because so many people just are so overwhelmed, they don't even know where to start or what to do. So that's the piece of it that, you know, you have to start with, and then you can get into like building up your self-esteem, and then the practical aspects of, you know, the finances and the, you know, negotiations and the co-parenting and all that stuff. So that's, you know, how I did it. And I really wanted it to be something that, you know, you didn't have to read a lot of words. So it's got photos on every page and pictures, and I'm very visual. So it's a very visual like ebook. But it has a lot of good information in there too.
Love it. So on the subject of books, what is the best therapy book you've ever read and why?
Okay. So it's called, and this is like serious stuff, it's called Heart Wounds.
Heart Wounds.
And it's the impact of unresolved trauma and grief on relationships, because I'm all about relationships. And, you know, we don't realize how much our past is impacting how we are right now. And so many people are stuck. And when they go through divorce, they're feeling grief that's like triggering some previous grief. So it's really important to make sure that you've healed that previous grief, or else you can't heal the current grief. So I love that book. And it goes deep. It's really talking about trauma and stuff that and people don't even realize trauma that they've experienced in childhood. And so it's very helpful for a lot of people.
And was it called Past Wounds? Past Wounds.
Heart Wounds.
Heart Wounds. Heart Wounds.
Oh, Heart Wounds. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
The impact of unresolved trauma and grief on relationships. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, what is your favorite non-therapy book and why?
Okay, so Kite Runner, and I'm sure like most people have read that, but I love it because it's historical fiction, and I love that. And it's about trauma in childhood, and it's about strength, you know, and so it is kind of connected to, you know, what I do, but in a kind of a, you know, fake world, but it's based on reality. So it feels really real to me. And I don't know, it was just very well written. I don't know if you guys have read it.
Yes, beautiful book.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is your top tip for mental health in the world today?
My top tip for mental health. So I mean, it ever since COVID, you know, people have been more open to treating mental health. And, you know, I think that is key. If you're ever struggling, you know, it's like a gift to yourself to get help, whether it's from a therapist or a coach, or, you know, someone who can support you. You know, that is the best thing to do when you're struggling with anything. So, I mean, that's a pretty, you know, general thing, but I really think more people should be doing it. And
I agree.
You know, as much as help as you can.
Right.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why we're doing the Therapist to Millions, to get more people, I think, used to that fact that they can get help and they can get support, and there are ways of doing it. Because, you know, everyone needs a friend. Let's face it, everyone needs a friend, and you know, why not have someone who actually has expertise and knowledge that can really point you in the right direction? Because that's, you know, what coaches and therapists actually do. So that's fantastic.
And everybody has experiences in childhood and through their life that impact them. And so how do you deal with that? How do you process that? You need to, I always talk about, like, you have to get things out. If you don't get it out, it's still inside of you.
Yeah, exactly. And that can impact your current functioning, those unresolved traumas, unresolved memories. I've always believed also that the universe and God keeps giving us the same lesson over and over again until we pass it. And a lot of times the relationships of people you see now that are going through a divorce have unresolved issues from childhood that could impact the fact even that they're going through a divorce. And if they don't resolve those, they could lead to another, relationship difficulty down the road. So it's hugely impactful what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I always tell people you don't want to get divorced twice.
No, absolutely not.
You really don't. And so if you can learn, and I do that a lot of work with people in my program about learning from your experience and what have you learned and how can you do things differently.
Exactly. Love it.
Fantastic. Now, the crucial question, because I'm actually doing a t-shirt run tomorrow. So you're going to get yours much quicker than some of the previous guests because I do them in batches, you see, and I'm doing a post office run tomorrow. So tell us a fact that blows our mind, or tell us a joke that's one of a kind to win an exclusive Therapist to Millions t-shirt.
Oh, awesome. So this is a fact that I don't think people really know, that the average person thinks about divorce for 7 years before they go through a divorce.
Wow.
Average. Some more, some less, but that's the average.
Wow.
Interesting. That is an amazing fact. Wow. 7 years.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so t-shirt's on its way to you.
Yeah, you
blow my mind.
That one. That's awesome.
Wow.
It's not something people take lightly.
No.
For sure.
Right. Yeah. So tell us, how can people get a hold of you?
So I am on my website is divorcecoachjill.com. My email is info@divorcecoachjill.com. My Facebook group for people going through divorce is Separation and Divorce Support Community.
Okay.
And I'm on Instagram, Divorce Coach Jill. I guess it's Divorce Coach Jill. Right.
Okay, wonderful.
Super.
Amazing.
Thanks. And we're going to add all the links to your social media and to your. Do you have a LinkedIn account? We can.
I
link
do.
that
Yes.
as well. Yeah. Great. And also the link to your book as well. Thank you so much, Jill, for taking the time to unravel some cases and tell us a little bit more about yourself. For the Therapist to Millions podcast. We really appreciate you and everything that you're doing for people that are going through divorce. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
You.
It's my pleasure.
If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Therapist to Millions podcast, may we invite you to check out our free for life Therapist to Millions online membership course for therapists and coaches who want to grow their business without trading more time for dollars. We've created the world's premier digital marketing resource exclusively for therapists, and it's yours for free for life. Just head over to therapisttomillions.com and sign up now.